All right, so get this. We are diving deep into a mystery today, and it's as cold as the Norwegian fjords where it all began. This is the case of the Isdal woman, and it's a story that's just captivated people for over 50 years, and for good reason. We're talking unidentified woman, unexplained death, fake passports, even a coded notebook.
Yeah, what's fascinating is that even with all that, we still don't know who she was or what really happened. It's like a puzzle, but every piece seems to create more questions than answers.
Exactly. So let's rewind to November 1970. We're in Isdalen Valley near Bergen, Norway. A hiker stumbles across a scene. I mean, it would make anyone's blood run cold. A charred body lying face up on a rocky slope. What would you say are the most peculiar details of the scene?
Well, I mean, aside from the obvious tragedy, right? The scene itself was strangely staged. The woman's body was carefully positioned, almost like a morbid display. The front of her body and clothes were badly burned, but the fire itself seemed contained. And then there were the objects scattered around her, a burnt passport holder, melted water bottles, a half-empty bottle of liqueur, even a fur hat, all with their labels meticulously removed.
It's like someone wanted to erase her identity completely, which makes you wonder, who is she trying to hide from?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? The autopsy added another layer to the mystery. The cause of death was determined to be a combination of carbon monoxide poisoning and sleeping pills. But here's the catch: soot found in her lungs suggests she was alive while the fire was burning.
Oh, wow. That's a horrifying thought. Does that rule out suicide completely, or could there be a scenario where that's still possible?
It's not impossible, but it makes suicide less likely. It raises questions about whether those sleeping pills were taken willingly or if someone else forced them on her. And adding to that was a mysterious bruise on her neck, possibly from a blow or a fall, which made the whole thing even more suspicious.
So we've got a mysterious death, a meticulously erased identity, and now potential foul play. The plot thickens. Then there's the matter of those suitcases.
Ah, yes, the suitcases. 3 days after the discovery of the body, two suitcases belonging to the woman were found at Bergen railway station. Inside were more personal items: wigs, makeup, even money. 5 100 Deutschmark notes to be exact. But the real treasure trove was a coded notebook.
Okay, a coded notebook. Now we're talking spy novel material. What kind of code was it, and were they able to crack it?
It was a substitution cipher, where letters or numbers are replaced with different symbols. Thankfully, the police were able to decipher it. It contained dates and locations the woman had visited, like a travel diary, which offered glimpses into her movements before ending up in Isdalen Valley. Some of these entries actually corresponded to known periods of heightened military activity in Norway, which led some to believe she might have been involved in espionage.
Hold on, espionage. So we're talking Cold War intrigue, secret agents, the whole nine yards. That's a pretty big leap from a coded notebook. What else led them to that conclusion?
Well, remember those meticulously removed labels. It's a classic spy tactic to avoid being traced. But what really sent imaginations into overdrive were the fake passports.
Right, the fake passports. I read she had a whole collection of them.
At least 8 were discovered, each with a different alias, nationality, and backstory. It painted a picture of someone who was constantly on the move, constantly reinventing herself.
8 fake passports. She was definitely not your average tourist. Did those passports reveal anything about who she really was or where she came from?
That's the intriguing part. Despite the multitude of fake identities, there was one curious consistency. She always claimed to be Belgian. And while she seemed intent on anonymity, constantly hopping between hotels, changing rooms, and being quite guarded, witnesses described her as well-dressed, attractive, and speaking several languages: German, possibly Flemish, and even broken English. Some even noted a distinct smell of garlic about her.
Okay, now that's interesting. A woman of mystery speaking multiple languages with a penchant for garlic. You don't get more intriguing than that. But with all those clues, the suitcases, the notebook, the witness counts, you'd think the police would have cracked the case, right?
You'd think so, wouldn't you? Officially, they concluded it was a suicide. But as you can imagine, many people remain unconvinced. The circumstances surrounding her death, the erased identity, the fake passport, it all points to something far more complex than a simple suicide.
So if it wasn't suicide, what are the leading theories? Was she really a spy? An international woman of intrigue caught up in something dangerous?
That's one of the most popular theories, and it certainly fits the Cold War context. Remember that this was the height of the Cold War, a time of intense secrecy and suspicion between the East and West. Norway, as a NATO member, was strategically important, and there were certainly whispers of undercover agents operating within its borders.
Okay, I can see how the pieces might fit. A secret agent moving through the shadows using fake identities to complete a dangerous mission. But if she was a spy, wouldn't she have been more careful not to leave so many clues behind?
That's where it gets really interesting. Some argue that the clues were deliberate a way to misdirect investigators to create a smokescreen for her real activities. Remember those dates and locations in her coded notebook? Some of them do seem to align with periods of heightened military activity in Norway, particularly the testing of the Penguin anti-ship missile, which was a top-secret project at the time.
A top-secret missile project. Now we're talking. That's some serious Cold War intrigue. But if she was involved in something that sensitive, wouldn't her death have been quieter, less, well, fiery?
That's the million-dollar question. Was her death a deliberate act of silencing, or was it something else entirely? To answer that, we need to delve deeper into the other theories.
And on that note, let's pause our investigation for a moment. When we come back, we'll explore those other theories and see if we can shed some light on what really happened to the Isdal woman. Welcome back. Before the break, we were deep in the heart of Cold War intrigue, exploring the possibility that the Isdal woman was a spy. It's a theory that definitely captures the imagination, but it's not the only explanation out there.
Right. While the espionage angle is compelling, there are other theories that deserve our attention. One of them, put forward by author Dennis Zacher, suggests the Isdal woman might have been involved in sex work.
Oh, that's a theory I haven't heard much about. What led Ask to that conclusion?
Asker had spent years meticulously researching the case, and he noticed some patterns that suggested a possible connection to the sex trade. For example, her travel routes were often circular, returning to certain locations repeatedly, which could indicate a client base or a network of contacts. He also found it curious that none of the men she was seen with ever came forward, even after her death was widely publicized.
That is strange. Yeah, you'd think someone would have come forward if only to clear their name or offer some information. It does make you wonder what they might have been hiding. But how does the whole anonymous identity thing fit into this theory?
Well, anonymity is often a crucial aspect of sex work, both for safety and for maintaining discretion. The multiple aliases, the constant hotel hopping, the general sense of guardedness, it could all be indicative of someone trying to protect their true identity and avoid unwanted attention.
That makes sense. But what about the coded notebook? It seems a bit out of place for someone involved in sex work, doesn't it?
Not necessarily.
Yeah.
It's possible the notebook contained information related to her clients' appointments or even financial transactions. Remember, this was long before the age of smartphones and easy communication. A coded notebook could have been a way to keep track of her business dealings while maintaining a level of secrecy.
So the notebook could have been a way to manage her work, keep track of clients, and maintain her anonymity. That makes a lot of sense. But it still leaves the question of her death. If she was involved in sex work, how does that explain the circumstances surrounding her demise? Was she the victim of a dangerous client, or was there something else going on?
That's where the theories get a bit more speculative. Some suggest she might have become entangled with a dangerous individual or a criminal network, and her death was a way to silence her or eliminate a potential liability.
It's a grim thought, but it's certainly possible, and it would explain the effort to erase her identity and stage her death. Are there any other theories that try to explain her death? Maybe ones that don't involve foul play?
There are a few. Some speculate that her death might have been a case of assisted suicide, perhaps involving a clandestine organization or a lover. Others suggest she might have been the victim of a tragic accident, perhaps a fall while hiking, and the fire was a result of a camping stove or other equipment malfunction.
Those possibilities add a layer of sadness to an already tragic story. We have a woman who was clearly trying to remain hidden to keep her life secret, and then she dies under mysterious circumstances, leaving behind a trail of clues that only deepen the mystery. It's a puzzle that's both fascinating and heartbreaking.
And it's a puzzle that's drawn people in for decades. The Isdal woman's case has become a magnet for amateur sleuths, podcasters, and even professional investigators, all hoping to finally crack the code and uncover the truth.
Speaking of uncovering the truth, I understand there have been some recent developments in the case, even after all these years. What can you tell us about those?
In recent years, advancements in forensic science have breathed new life into the investigation. Isotope analysis of her teeth, which were thankfully preserved, revealed she was likely born near Nuremberg, Germany, but moved to France as a child. This aligned with earlier handwriting analysis, which also suggested a French connection.
Wait, they were able to analyze her teeth after all this time? That's incredible. So are we any closer to finally putting a name to the Isdal woman?
There's hope. Ongoing genetic genealogy research combined with these new findings may finally allow us to crack the code of her true identity. By comparing her DNA to databases of genetic profiles, researchers are hoping to find a match, A relative, someone who can finally connect a name and a story to the Isdal woman.
That's amazing. Imagine the possibilities. If they do find a match, it could potentially unlock a whole new chapter in the investigation. We might learn about her family, her background, her motivations, and finally get some answers about who she was and why she was living the secretive life. It's almost too much to hope for.
It's definitely a long shot, but it's not impossible. And even if genetic genealogy doesn't provide all the answers, it could still offer valuable clues. Imagine uncovering a family connection to espionage or to organized crime. It could completely shift our understanding of the case.
It's amazing to think that after all this time, after all the dead ends and unanswered questions, there's still a chance, however slim, that we might finally learn the truth about the Isdal woman.
But what if, even with these advancements in technology and investigation, the truth remains elusive? What if some mysteries are simply too deep, too well concealed to ever be fully unraveled?
That's a chilling thought, isn't it? To think that there might be secrets out there buried so deep that they're lost to time. It makes you wonder what else might be hidden in the shadows. What other mysteries remain unsolved, waiting for the right clue, the right technology, the right moment to come to light. We're back, and I don't know about you, but after that last segment, I'm feeling a bit like I've fallen down the rabbit hole. The Isdal woman's story is a stark reminder that some mysteries may never be fully solved.
It's true. Yeah, and it challenges our desire for neat and tidy resolutions.
Yeah.
For a world where every question has an answer. But maybe the most valuable lesson we can take away from cases like this is the importance of embracing the unknown, of acknowledging that there are things we may never fully understand.
Yeah, you're right. It's a humbling realization. But it's also an invitation to keep searching, to keep questioning, to keep exploring. After all, that's what drives us to learn to investigate, to unravel the complexities of the world around us.
Exactly. The Isdal woman's story is a powerful reminder that truth can be elusive, but the pursuit of it can lead us down fascinating and unexpected paths.
Speaking of fascinating paths before the break, you mentioned the possibility that even with all the technological advancements, the truth about the Isdal woman might remain out of reach. That's a pretty sobering thought. But it also makes you wonder if there are other cases out there, other mysteries that might be connected to hers.
Oh, there are definitely parallels to be drawn between the Isdal woman's case and other unsolved mysteries, particularly those shrouded in Cold War intrigue. Remember, this was a time of clandestine operations, secret alliances, and shadowy figures operating in the shadows. It's not a stretch to imagine that her story might be part of a larger, more complex narrative, a puzzle with pieces scattered across continents and hidden in classified files.
Wow, that's a chilling thought. To think that there might be a network of secrets out there connected by invisible threads, influencing events and shaping history in ways we can only imagine. It makes the Isdal woman's story seem even more significant, even more mysterious.
It's a reminder that the past is never truly past, that its echoes can resonate through time, influencing the present and shaping the future. And it underscores the importance of continuing to investigate, to question, and to challenge accepted narratives, even when the answers seem impossible to find.
You've given us a lot to ponder today. The Isdal woman's story is a reminder that some mysteries may never be fully solved, but the pursuit of the truth, the constant questioning, and the desire to understand are what make these mysteries so captivating. And even if we never learn the full story, even if some questions remain unanswered, the journey itself can be incredibly rewarding.
Absolutely. The Isdal woman's case, while tragic and unsettling, also serves as a powerful reminder of the enduring allure of the unknown. It's a testament to the human spirit's relentless curiosity, our desire to make sense of the world around us, and our unwavering hope that even in the face of darkness and uncertainty, the truth in some form will eventually emerge.
So what's the takeaway for you, the listener? What can you do with all of this information about the Isdal woman? Well, for starters, you can keep digging. The Death in Ice Valley podcast is a fantastic deep dive into this case, and there are countless articles and documentaries available online. Maybe you'll find a detail, a connection, a piece of information that's been overlooked. Who knows? Maybe you'll be the one to finally crack the code of this enduring mystery.
And even if you don't solve the case, exploring the Isdal woman's story can spark your own curiosity about the world, about history, about the mysteries that lie hidden in plain sight. It's a reminder that truth can be elusive, but the journey to find it can be just as rewarding as the destination.
So keep those detective hats on, keep those minds open, and keep exploring. Until next time, this is The Deep Dive signing off.